Right. OTBAM is brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. It is 8:40. We're turning our attention to the Women's National League, and I'm delighted to say the Shelbourne captain, Pearl Slattery, is with us. Pearl, good morning to you. How you getting on?
Morning, lads. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. You got the start of the league campaign off with a win and a goal, so you must have been pretty happy at the end of last week.
Yeah, look, delighted with the win. It's always, I feel, we always speak as a group that, even last season and same this season, it's always important to start well. And just look, getting the win. It's not going to be perfect on the first day by any means. Just once you win, and look, when you look back at it now, 1-0, 3 points, clean sheet. Really happy with it. Yeah, delighted now to look forward now to this weekend against Wexford.
The end of last season was so spectacular and wild and bizarre and brilliant from your guys' perspective. What was the off season like? How do you try and take some of the feeling that you had on the last day of last season and bottle it and bring it with you? Can you do that, or is last season completely finished and it totally irrelevant to this year? What's the truth to that?
Yeah, I think, look, at the end of the season, you're obviously, after the cup final and stuff, you kind of sit back, don't you, as a player. We've all done it, and I suppose just look back on the season, and I found myself, through the month of November, December, just thinking that actually really happened. Sometimes you'd be sitting there going back to it. It was just a really special night in Talca Park. It's probably the best, night I've ever had in football, and a lot of girls would say that. But, once you enjoy Christmas and that with your family, and you go back down a pre-season yourself, and you come into pre-season, especially now that we've started the season, it was a wonderful night. We were delighted to win, the first title in 5 years for the club. But it's a brand new season now, so it's gone, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on us this season now as champions. So look, we'll have to be on our game and every weekend. And look, we'll always compete. That's all you want. But look, last year is definitely gone now. Look, as I said, already the first game of the new season's gone already. The games are going to come thick and fast, and the league itself last season was really competitive, and I think this year is going to be even more so. So, looking forward to it. But yeah, look, that was a special night, but it is gone now, and we're just trying to look forward.
Do you feel that there's an extra pep in your step this season? Is it nonsense to say that you can actually feel like champions when you're out there?
I don't know. I don't know if you can feel like champions, but I feel, there's an expectation on us now to go out and try to do well every game. Look, we've done that every other year anyway, but I think definitely now, every weekend, because in previous years when Peamount had won it, look, you always want to be the champions. You always want to try take over them and stuff. So I think other teams will be like that with us. We kind of have a target on our back now. So, but look, I've always said it in interviews. I feel like that every weekend. As a Shells player, I suppose every team would like to beat us. Similar to us though, every weekend you want to go into a game and win. But I do think there's a little bit more now. That target is on your back as champions, and we know, look, every game, as I said, is that the league has just gone so competitive now. You look at the game the weekend with Bohs, it was 0-0 until the 70th odd minute. Fair play to Bohs, they made it difficult for us. They're well set up. So look, every team every year is improving, and we need to make sure now. You know yourselves, when you become champions, it's very easy to drop standards and think, and I'll be the driving force, and Noel and the staff and the players, in fairness themselves, to make sure that doesn't happen to us, and we keep going. Look, we'll take it week by week. We won't look beyond Wexford this week. We full concentration on Bohs this weekend, and as I said, you're delighted with the win, the 3 points in the clean sheet, and now we move on to Wexford.
I just wanted to generally ask you about the explosion in women's football in Ireland over the last period of time. You are part of that. You're in your day job working for the FAI. You're essentially involved, and you see how the game is growing. What more do we need to do as a country to make sure that growth continues properly, and that because we've just been talking all morning about the rugby team and the situation with regards to the GAA and the merger happening there. The FAI are at a different they're coming at it from a different angle. So how do you make sure that we build on the popularity of the game, and that anybody who wants to play is given the opportunity to play?
Yeah, I think you look around the world, and I always say this: the potential for growth in the women's game is massive, and it's in a really good place, I think, around the world, but more so in our country. You could see the last few years, even in the league, the development of that. The crowds we're getting at the games, like you should have seen the crowd again at Talca this weekend, which is brilliant to see, because we haven't really seen crowds like that in the Women's National League. We've went from 30 to 40 people at our games now to a few hundred, which is brilliant. But I always say as well, in the FAI, we've a strategic plan now there in place that we'll be following for the next few years, and one of the pillars is women's football, and it's brilliant now that there's we can really focus on that. But I just think, look, we have to continue more of the same, and rather, like, it's in a really good place, I think, women's football in this country now. But it's important we don't stop and say we're in a really good place, and that we keep driving it forward, we keep going. Look, you look at how well the women's national team are doing, the deals that have come in there, the equal pay, the sponsorship, the buzz around that. I was talking to somebody the other day where, I obviously worked with the FEI a few years ago. We used to give out comps to those games. Now, they're selling out. And people are buying the tickets, which is brilliant. And I just think in terms of women's national team now, if we can qualify for a major tournament, I think that would really take women's football to the next level here. I just think we need to get to a major tournament, and it's definitely possible. So I'm really excited over the next few months to see how that goes. And then obviously in terms of women's national league, I think it's just getting bigger and bigger every year, and that's all you want every year, just for it to continue to grow. You look at TG Carr coming in, the sponsorships, all that sort of stuff. You even see that air game the weekend, RTE were there, the news, there was highlights, all that. It's, just about seeing it as much as possible, that young girls around the country, the next generation, could see what is actually possible if you want to play football in this country. And as I said, the development, and, we have to remember where we were a few years ago as well. Like, so it's brilliant where we are, but it's important now that we keep pushing forward and that we don't just settle for where it is now, and that we keep driving the standards and keep wanting to develop and just getting better and better every year, and giving young girls around the country, in wherever, capacity you want to get involved in the game, whether it's playing, referee and volunteering, coach, and all that sort of stuff in terms of the women's game, that there's opportunities there, Am
I right in saying you went to college in the States? Was that on a football scholarship?
I was, yeah. I was over there for about 3.5 years, and look, at the time I just wanted to go live in another country, experience it. I was playing 2 games a week. We played for Wednesday night and Saturday. We were training every day. It was a brilliant experience. Because
there's in Ireland we sometimes are delighted for people who get to go away, and sometimes we're like, I can't believe these people are leaving. Certainly the kids who go off and play Australian rules, it's always a double-edged sword for the counties who feel like they've brought the young players through. But your experience seems to have been, this was life-changing and great. And I kind of feel like, if you're a kid 15, 16 and good enough at football to go off and get a scholarship or go off and make your life as a professional somewhere else, maybe you'll come back, maybe you won't. But either way, that's kind of part of, that's part of the sport. So I just think that it's an opportunity that's open to a load of people that maybe wouldn't be open to them if it wasn't for sport.
Yeah, look, it was a brilliant experience for me. I think it really was life-changing for me, just in terms of fitness. I would have thought I would have been fit going to America, and over there it's a completely different ball game. They're unbelievable athletes, and I just feel, that's probably when my career turned. I went up a level fitness wise and stuff, and learned so much over there. So when I did come home and the women's national league was starting, I felt, I had just took it up a level fitness wise, and just looking after myself, and I learned all that through the States. But I think, look, I speak to a lot of young girls and stuff, or people thinking about going abroad. It's, on the individual if they want to go to States, or some people who are lucky enough around their league or in Ireland to go to England. The most important thing is, that once they go, and if they're good enough, that they're not kind of forgotten about. And look, I'm bringing it back to the women's national team. You look at Roma, who went across the States. It's been great now to see her, that she is over in the States, she is in college, she is living her dream, but she's also still getting called back into the women's national team, which is massive, like a lot of the girls that go to England and stuff. So yeah, look, I think opportunities like that, if that's what you want to do as an individual, you definitely should do it.
Has the fitness caught up here compared to the States?
Has it which?
Has the fitness programs caught up in comparison to your experience in the States?
Yeah, definitely should have been. Nearly 10 years ago now I was in the States. I just mean, as like myself, as an individual, I suppose the Women's National League had really started then. The education, this is what I always say to a lot of young girls as well, like the education they get now in terms of the game, football-wise, fitness-wise, nutrition-wise, it's just a different level altogether, And I suppose when I was here and then I moved abroad for the 3.5 years, that was my biggest learning curve. I think, the level was good, and I always felt I could compete as a footballer, but my fitness and, how you recover and all that just went up a level. And I remember a few people saying that to me when I came home, that it just, transformed fitness-wise and, just looking after myself. And look, if you're training every day, playing games twice a week, that'll help you naturally. But it was just, the pre-season over there was just Jesus, lads, it was very, very tough, you know. And you look at it now, we were probably overrun a little bit, but it just prepped me then when I come back to the Women's National League fitness-wise and being able to compete and play at the Women's National League level then, you know.
Probably, will you just explain for everybody what it is your day job is with the FAI? It's to develop the women's game specifically, is it?
Yeah, so I'm, you know, the FAI obviously has went through a new restructure the last, 2 years. So I would have been a development officer, like, just involved in the women's game actually on South Dublin, and then with the restructure people inside kind of moved and my boss had moved on and his role came up, and I'm now women's football programme coordinator in our grassroots department. So I work with a lot of the regions with our own staff, just trying to develop the game, grow the game through participation, but also retain it. So we'd have like a grassroots pathway, a menu of programmes, if you like, for clubs and leagues around the country. So we start at that 5 to 8 year old age group with us Disney Playmakers. And then we have 3 or 4 programmes after that. The Soccer Sisters will obviously run over the Easter camp. So I kind of head them up and work with, as I said earlier, the FAI. We've kind of split the country now into 8 regions. We've 8 regional managers and 8 programme coordinators, and I'm one of them. I'm the programme coordinator for women's football. So I would link in with a lot of those regions and the clubs and other stakeholders around the country just to try to grow the game and retain players throughout. So look, I'm very lucky. Obviously the women's game is a big passion of mine. I played it, and I volunteered for a lot of years, and I volunteered just to give back because the game has given me so much. And then I end up getting a job in the FAI, and I'm there now 6 years. Very grateful to the FAI. I work with football every day. I'm very, very happy, and it's a role I'm really enjoying. And look, the FAI have kind of always supported me as well. Being a Women's National League player, I'm able to do both, and sometimes it can be tough. You're so busy and trying to balance both, but I've been very, very lucky, and I'm really enjoying the job. I'm only in it since last January, so I'm in it over a year and a bit. So I'm still learning, but I have to say I'm loving it.
We know the facilities are obviously an issue right around the country, and that's a separate kind of day's work. But in terms of encouraging people to get out and coach and get involved, is that almost as important in terms of the player pathway and keeping players involved, is that they have enough coaches and they have enough support when they're going and showing up for training?
Yeah, look, it's massive, isn't it? I think in the women's game over the years, all you want is that, equality, the respect, to be treated the same, to be, to have the best coaches, to have the best facilities, and, the women's game or your team not just being, an extra add-on. And that's where I really think, what's changed around this country now. The women's game is really getting that respect, I feel. Clubs now are coming in, we see it in the FAI now. Clubs are just, being bombarded with, female teams, young girls teams, but they're putting a lot of time into it now, resources, people within the club who actually want to really do it and do it well, getting that equal time slot, getting half a pitch, getting a full pitch, and that's the way it should be, and that's all you want as a female player. And look, even if it's playing, coaching, volunteering, wherever it is, that the opportunity's there, the same opportunity, and that you're getting them because you're good enough, and it's kind of forgetting about that female and male thing,
100%. Pearl, great to have you with us this morning. Best of luck. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's Pearl Slattery there, plays for Shelbourne, obviously works for the FAI as well.